Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm doing a first impressions review on the Maybelline Dream Velvet Foundation. This is Maybelline's new foundation. They just came out with it, and as soon as I heard about it, I knew that I had to try it because it says that it is a soft, matte, hydrating foundation. So basically a dry skin girl's dream, because you guys know that I have very dry skin, but I really like mattifying foundations. Like, that's my favorite type of foundation finish, so it can be very hard for me to find a foundation that is both mattifying but also doesn't dry out my skin. So as soon as I heard about this, I knew I had to try it. So today I'm going to be doing a first impressions on it and checking in with you guys periodically throughout the day and letting you guys know my thoughts on it. So if you guys want to see what I think about this new Maybelline foundation, then please just keep watching. And if you guys do enjoy this type of video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. But yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. Alright, so as you guys can probably tell, I have absolutely no makeup on my face. I have already moisturized my skin and applied an eye cream and a lip balm. I always do that before applying my foundation, so I want to do the exact same things that I would always do before I do my makeup. So before I go ahead and apply it, I guess I should tell you guys like what this foundation claims to do. So it says that it's a soft, matte, hydrating foundation. So it's going to be matte but also hydrating, which is what really attracted me to it. And it also says that it's their first gel whipped foundation. So it's going to have a whipped consistency to it, which I actually like. I remember way back in the day I tried their Dream Whipped Matte Mousse or something like that it was called. Like, this was like back when I was in middle school and I really liked it. So hopefully I will like this foundation as well. And I did get it in the shade 40 Nude, so we will see if it matches me and if I like it. I'm going to be applying this with a dampened complexion sponge from Real Techniques. You can use a beauty blender, you can use this. I know they do actually sell like Maybelline with this foundation, an applicator, which is basically, it looks like a beauty blender on a stick. I ended up passing on that because I had heard some not so great reviews about it, even though the reviews on the foundation were really good. The reviews on the applicator were not, so I ended up passing on it. They don't come together. You do buy them separately, so I'm just going to use my Real Techniques complexion sponge, but they do offer an applicator if you're interested in that. Alright, so I can already tell that it definitely is a whipped consistency. It's not liquidy at all. It is a little bit thicker, but that's fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply it to the skin. It reminds me of the Too Faced Amazonian Clay, the full coverage foundation. It has a very similar consistency to that. And then I'm just going to go in and blend it out. So far it looks like the shade should actually be a pretty decent match for me, which is good. And it does seem to be very full coverage, which I like. Because I know L'Oreal actually came out with a new foundation as well, like their Cushion foundation, but I ended up passing on that and getting this one instead because a lot of people were saying that the Cushion foundation is more like light coverage, and I just don't typically really like light coverage foundation, so that's why I went with this one instead for like a first impressions for you guys. It's blending out very easily too, which I like. I hate foundations that are hard to blend out and like can just cause more time and more effort to be blended. So this foundation seems like it's blending very easily, which I do like as well. It kind of seems like cooling on the skin. I don't know, like kind of feels very cooling on my skin, which is nice. I mean, I like that. Alright, so that is it all blended out. So far, I do like it. It feels very cooling and like hydrating to my skin, which I actually really like, but it does look like it is drying matte, and the shade seems to match me pretty well, which I like as well. They did have a big color range, which is a good thing, so hopefully there will be a shade for you. So far I like it, but that could completely change, so I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup, and then I will check in with you guys periodically throughout the day to see how it's wearing and kind of my thoughts on it throughout the day. So yeah, I will see you guys in a little bit. Alright you guys, so I am back. It is now 3:25. I don't know if you guys can see that on my phone, but it's 3:25 p.m. and I realized I forgot to tell you guys what time it was when I first applied it, but it was about 11 a.m. this morning, so I've been wearing it now for quite a few hours. I did the rest of my makeup and stuff, obviously, and I did end up setting it with a powder just because I do always use a powder over my foundation as well, but I did forget to mention that in the beginning. So I did use a primer, then I put the foundation on, and then I set it with a powder as I usually do. I used the Laura Mercier translucent powder, but so far I really think that it is holding up very well. It doesn't look like it's really faded on my skin at all, and it does give you a really nice, even, full coverage, which I love. The only thing is that it did start to separate a little bit on my nose, but pretty much all foundations separate on my nose. I've never really found one that doesn't. It didn't separate too bad, but right on the tip of my nose, which is normally where they separate on me, it did separate. I normally put a little bit additional like foundation on my nose area, which I didn't do today because I forgot. So I don't know if I put more on, maybe it would separate less, but it wasn't anything like really noticeable. I feel like it's only me, like when I take a mirror like this and like, you know, put it right up to my face, I can really see that it did separate. So it's not that big of a deal to me. Like I said, pretty much every foundation does. Another thing that I did notice is that it did oxidize, which again was okay for me because it was a little too light when I first applied it, and now it matches my neck pretty much perfectly. So my color is nude, in case I didn't say that in the beginning, except I think I did. But yeah, nude seems to be a pretty good match for me, but it does oxidize. So if you are in between colors, I would definitely go with a lighter shade. So just be aware of that. If you go looking for a shade and you're in between shades, I would definitely go lighter rather than darker, because keep in mind that it is going to oxidize. I find that most foundations from the drugstore do oxidize. I don't know why that is. I don't even know what like really causes foundations to oxidize, but this one does, but it was nothing like super significant. Like it just made it a little bit darker. But besides that, I do really like it. It's holding up very well on my skin. It's really not breaking anywhere besides that area on my nose, and I do really like the coverage as well. Like I feel like this is a very nice full coverage foundation, and it's not drying out my skin, at least not that I can tell so far. It didn't cling to any dry patches either, which I really liked. I guess that has to do with the fact that it's like a gel whipped foundation. I did really like the whippedness of it, but I could definitely feel that gel part of it because it definitely was cooling on my skin when I applied it, so I did really like that. So far I do really like the foundation. I will check in with you guys later on tonight though, once I've worn it for like 10 to 12 hours or so, to give you my final thoughts, but so far it's getting a thumbs up from me. Alright you guys, so it is now about 8:45 p.m. and I'm back with my final check-in and to give you guys my final thoughts on this foundation. And really, my thoughts now have not changed from when I first checked in with you guys around 3 p.m. I still really like the foundation, so I am very pleased with it. I do think that it is a really great foundation. I think Maybelline did a really good job with this, and I would recommend it for a drugstore foundation for you guys. The only two things that I found with it throughout the day, even now I have already shared with you guys. The one thing is that it did separate on my nose, but one thing that I did realize is that the separation that was on my nose like when at 3 p.m. when I checked in with you guys is the same now. So it didn't like continue to separate, which some foundations do on me, and then I have like no foundation on my nose. It kind of just separated a little bit and that was it. It didn't like continue to separate throughout the day, so that was really good. The lasting power on the rest of my face, I think it still looks really good. Like it's still really on the rest of my face. So I was very impressed with the lasting power of this foundation. And then the only other thing that could potentially be a bad thing is that it did oxidize. It did not continue though to oxidize throughout the day. I didn't think it got any worse from when I talked to you guys at 3 p.m. It just kind of oxidized within like maybe 30 minutes or so of me originally applying it, and then didn't oxidize anymore. And it wasn't like a huge significance change in the shade, but definitely did get a little bit darker. So like I said, if you're in between shades, definitely go for the lighter one. But besides that, I think this foundation is really, really great. I like the like cooling, moisturizing effects of it, but also that it does give you a matte full coverage finish, which is the type of foundation that I really love. So if you like matte full coverage foundations, I would definitely be sure to give this a try. I think this is going to be a really great hit for Maybelline at the drugstore, and I'm definitely going to use this in a lot more tutorials. And I do think, most especially if you have dry skin, you will love the moisturizing, like gel cooling almost aspect of this foundation, because I did really enjoy that. And I do think that it blended out super easily with a sponge. Like I said, I use the Real Techniques complexion sponge. You can use the beauty blender or the sponge that they actually have. They are sold separately, but if you want to try that as well, if any of you guys have tried that, actually let me know down below what you thought of it, because I had heard some not so great things. But if you guys like it, then I might try that out as well, and I can do a first impressions on that if you want. But all in all, very impressed with this foundation. I do think that it is great. Definitely a drugstore favorite of mine now, and it's going to be making its way into a lot of my tutorials now that I've tried it out and realized that I really like it. So A+ to Maybelline and to this foundation, definitely a thumbs up from me. If you guys liked this video, then please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want me to do more first impression reviews like this, then just let me know down below in the comments and I will definitely do that for you guys. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!